Welcome to Ghoulish Gab, always spooky, always under 7 minutes. Today we're going to talk about PG-13 horror movies, which is some people will avoid them as an adult. Sometimes I might see a PG-13 rating on a newer movie and think I can wait till that streams to check it out. But I mean, when we were younger, we had things like Gremlins and Beetlejuice and stuff that we grew up on that I'll still watch. But I think it's harder for me to be enthused about a PG-13 horror. What about you, Kayla?
I can agree with that sometimes, but I also think that by avoiding some PG-13 horror, you're missing out on some potentially very good stories. I mean, if you're only into horror for the scares and the gore, then yes, absolutely. But there are some really good stories in some PG-13 horror movies. Plus, I like to see things that I know I can watch with like my niece and nephew.
Yeah. So
So,
today we're just going to talk about a couple that we enjoyed PG-13 horror. Why don't you start us off, Kayla?
um, so actually a really good one came out this year, and that was Lisa Frankenstein. Now that's more comedy horror, but uh it stars Catherine Newton as Lisa and Cole Sprouse as the creature. And basically it's this story of this girl who brings back to life this creature that she had been hanging out by the grave. She's this weird goth girl and her family's all peppy. And I don't know, I really deeply enjoyed it. It's an oddly funny romance with the creature. At one point, they start realizing you have to cut off body parts to replace the ones of his that have fallen off. And because they want to do it, they cut off a living person's penis and attach it to him so that it'll work. So, I mean,
Cool.
it's got its own crude, weird humor, but it was really, I liked it a lot. I deeply enjoyed it. So,
Uh, First one, I want to talk about 10 Cloverfield Lane, which of course was a sequel to Cloverfield, but this was a completely different style movie. They ditched the found footage, and it's got great performances from John Goodman and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She finds herself in his bunker essentially, and he says, "You can't leave because we're in an end of the world type scenario." And she doesn't know what to believe, and it's just there's a lot of tension, a lot of real good tension. I mean, because of the title, that it really is a bad scenario, but you know that she doesn't know, when you're feeling that what would it be like to be in this scenario, and that works really well in that film.
you also get the claustrophobic atmosphere
Mm,
that adds the tension, and I'd
yeah.
actually argue that the best parts of those movies are before they bring in the like Cloverfield aspect of it.
Oh, for sure, I would agree
Yep.
with that.
One the next one I had is actually a series of movies, and that's the Insidious franchise.
Yeah.
Those are all PG-13. Um, the first two like center on this couple who their son is diagnosed with, well, he enters a like coma state, and it turns out he's like this vessel for ghosts. And then the next two are like prequels to the first two, and then the fifth movie picks up where the first two left off. There's super well timed jump scares that really like they caught me, and I'm normally not a jump, like I don't normally startle easily. Again, really good tension. PG-13 horror movies rely a lot on tension, I think. Um, and the storytelling does not rely on gore for your scares. It's demons and creatures. I really like that whole franchise. I haven't seen the last one yet. I really should watch it, but the first four I liked a lot.
I'm in the exact same boat. I haven't seen the fifth one yet. At some point, I gotta watch it. Also, enjoy those movies. Not a bad franchise at all. My next one is Drag Me to Hell from 2009. That was a Sam Raimi film. A loan officer evicts an old woman, and she ends up getting cursed by her. And of course, things start to get weird in her life, so she turns to some sort of a seer to get help. And it's got a lot of Sam Raimi signature stuff without going full, Evil Dead, which is why it doesn't get an R rating. But yeah, great story. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I've watched it multiple times and will probably watch it a few more times.
Now, my last one, I think, is one you're gonna hate. It's
Yeah,
Megan.
yeah, yeah.
So, for those who have not seen Megan, a engineer at a toy company builds this like lifelike robot doll for her, and then she gives it to her niece, and it starts to take on a life of its own. I like it. Not necessarily. I mean, it's got some tense moments, but I kind of like it because it's unintentionally a horror comedy. There's this scene where the doll is singing the girl to sleep and singing Titanium that made me laugh out loud a lot. And then there's another scene where she's like killing people with the part of a paper cutter but dancing while she does it. I don't know. It's amazing and I think everybody should watch it.
My last one was The Final Girls from 2015. A young girl's grieving the loss of her mother, who was a scream queen in horror movies, and then she gets pulled into the world of one of her mom's most famous 80s movies, and of course it's weird from there because you're living in a movie and not real life. Yeah, it was really fun. It's got a good cast and it was a fun movie. Nothing super crazy there, but very entertainment, worth a watch.
I think ultimately when it comes to PG horror, like as horror fans, it's just important to realize that a lot of those are relying more on the plot than some of the R-rated or unrated versions.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all. It's just it's sometimes it's hard to do horror without when you're avoiding adult themes too many times.
Very true. Very true.
Especially if you're cutting out a lot of the kill scenes and stuff like that. But that is all the time we have for this round. Tell us some of your favorite PG-13 horror movies in the comments. Let us know if you've seen the ones we've talked about, etc., etc. Bye.